Thanks for joining me. This is Danny and welcome back to my 1.11.2 series. Today we're going to be doing a build. Right over where that creeper is standing. We'll probably get rid of the creeper first, and we're going to be putting our base right over there. It's going to be kind of like a big sprawled 2-story house. I'm going to kind of make it fit sort of like a Victorian garden theme since we're in the middle of an orchard and we have kind of a garden-y layout here. I'm thinking that's going to make for a nice build. First thing I want to do before we start building it though is I want to build a bridge. Because right now I'm just using this thing to get back and forth. Hello, creeper. I'm using this thing to get back and forth, and it would be nice to have a bridge because one of the things that we're building in the house is a garage. We're gonna actually have the bridge is gonna be like a road bridge, although it's gonna be like a plank, kind of a somewhat primitive. I'm thinking like a wood plank bridge that's gonna be kind of arched, because I think that would kind of fit the garden-y theme, or the orchard-y garden-y theme or whatever. And then we're gonna have a little garage for our for our little race cars. For the foundation of the bridge, I was thinking maybe marble. I'm thinking of a lot of like brighter colors for this build, but I'm actually leaning more toward limestone at the moment as kind of the like foundation block of the bridge. I'm almost thinking that I'm just gonna go with oak here because I really like these variants. Because the bridge is going east-west, most planks will run along the road, like with the length of the road. I want them to be vertical, and we can't do that with limewood. Limewood only doesn't have chisel variants, but oak does. And actually, the color of the variant looks nice, I think, with the limestone. This is our Chisels and Bits chisel, our first one, because we're going to make slabs out of these, and there is no slab recipe for the chiseled variants. So chisel meaning chisel, not chisels and bits. So I'm going to basically make slabs out of these by cutting them in half. So we're going to go plain 1, 2, 3, and I need to get a bit bag. Oops. I'm going to put a bit in there. I'm going to throw the rest on the floor. We're going to pick this up, and now when we pick up those bits, they will end up in our bag. Hooray. And I did adjust the configs for Chisels and Bits so that the bit bags hold 4,096 bits per stack. 4,096 is one block. So each block has 4,096 bits in it. Because I think it's pretty silly that the default is 512, which basically means that one block takes up 8 stacks in your chiseled bit bag, which makes the bit bags quite insufficient, in my opinion. So that's why I changed that to 4,096, because I think it's a lot more reasonable. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's one of the variants I'm going to use, and it's just vertical planks. And I'm going to put this stack. Oh my gosh, my inventory is a mess. And then I'm also using these uneven vertical planks. I actually kind of like these better because they're connected, but too many of those in a row just looks a little messy, so I'm throwing those in every once in a while. Like every few rows I'm going to have these. Now we're going to make the patterns. I'm going to make one of each. One positive chisel design. I call them patterns, but they're called designs, really. And each one of them needs water. So there's the positive, there's the negative, and if you're not sure how these all are used, oh, actually let me grab that bucket. You will soon find out. And the mirror chisel design, we're going to use all 3 of those, probably not right away. Right now we're just going to use the positive chisel design, and I'm going to put the other 2, put the other 2 in here. So we can just take our positive chisel design and right click on that. And then do that. And then we have those. Nice. And then we can also place. So since we now have bits of these in our inventory, we can now just go to placement and then just place these like any old blocks. I've got an angle here. It's basically I cut out 2 lines of bits at every level, at every bit. So we have that much of a slope. I want to do a different material here. So this is where I'm going to use the negative chisel design. So if I just right click on this with the negative chisel design and then I place a different kind of block right here, it's going to give us that shape, but instead of adding the bits to it, it's just going to take away from this one. So we'll end up with the same materials. Oh, except I want it at the top half of the block. Oh, whatever. So we do that, and that's how we get that. But then what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab this, break that, and throw some dirt down. And then I can hold the shift key down to place this precisely where I want it. Well, there's our bridge. It's pretty basic. It's a limestone bridge. I think it looks decent. It's well supported, and I'll probably add some more detail to it later, but I really want to focus on the house today, and this was just kind of a way for us to get back and forth a little bit more easily and quickly. I just made a deco bench from DecoCraft. Strangely, it isn't showing up in JEI. I don't know what's up with that, but if you look under DecoCraft, you don't see it. But if you look under DecoWand, DecoBench is one of the ingredients, so you can get the recipe from there. So I'm not really sure what's going on with that, but whatever. Here it is, and I'm going to put some clay in here. Now we can make this crafting clay, which is dirt, sand, and that makes clay. But we have so much clay, so I'm just going to put that clay in there, do that, and then we also want to give it some green powder, or some green dye, whatever, blue dye and red dye, and that will open up pretty much everything. So we can make all this stuff, and it's going to consume a little bit of clay and a little bit of dye for everything that we consume. I just wanted to see what kind of lights or lanterns or lamps we have in here. There weren't really any appropriate ones from DecoCraft. There's a lot of nice indoor lighting, but the outdoor lighting was pretty limited, so I may go with these again. Maybe the BiblioCraft ones would be better. I think I kind of looking on a palette over here. I'm using these stained planks from Cork. They're actually pretty nice, and you can use any wood for them. So this is actually just oak wood, and it's made kind of like stained clay, where you have a dye in the middle surrounded by some stuff. Actually, I might want to try the white, but this is yellow. I'm also thinking perhaps green. Oh, maybe not. I want it to kind of look like siding, but there's a little too much detail in the planks. But then this is a white block from Flat Colored Blocks, and that's basically, you make this colored block crafter. It's the only thing you can craft from flat colored blocks, and you need 4 different colored dyes and a piece of iron, and when you right click on it, it'll look at what dyes you have in your inventory. Right now we have bone meal, and it's going to take a dye and a cobblestone to make each block. So it does get a little expensive because each block requires a dye, as opposed to, say, clay or whatever, where 8 blocks requires a dye. But I don't like any of the clay colors, and I even looked at the ceramics mod, and I'm not real crazy about, because we also have ceramics installed, I'm not really crazy about any of these colors for this build either. I was actually maybe thinking of blue, but the porcelain blocks get a little expensive. But we've also got marble. The only problem with marble is it doesn't have that nice smooth texture. But this is just going to be a trim block. I'm not even going to be using any full blocks for that. This is going to be like the trim around the windows, doors, around the edges of the house. This is living wood, but maybe living wood planks would be better. Let's try that. This is going to be another trim block. I'm thinking that that we're going to use this for maybe the floors in certain areas, maybe a little bit of trim here and there, maybe around the doors or something. I don't know. I mean, between these 2 blocks, those will be like the accents. and such. I really wish that I could use the marble because I have so much of it. This is cork marble, that's chisel marble. I'm liking the chisel marble better because it's a little bit whiter, and I want something white. I want it to look like paint, like painted wood, basically. Let's take one and just kind of like trim out a little bit here. We'll go draw in region and do like a 2x1. I mean a 2 pixel wide thing. Get rid of this. That could probably work. And it's so much cheaper because this stuff is everywhere. Like it's all over the place. Like our quarry is bringing in tons of that stuff. Yeah, I think that'll work. But let me just... I'm sure that this is going to look better, and I probably shouldn't even do it because it's going to make me want it. But let's just take a peek. Yeah, that looks so much better. You know what? It's just bone meal. If I have to kill some more skeletons, I'll go kill some more skeletons, I guess. And it's not like we're going to be using a lot of this stuff. So I think I'm going to go with this, with the flat colored block. I always want to go with marble. Like there's so many builds where I really want to use marble, but I always end up, just because it looks kind of nice, and we always get so much of it. Funny story. I set up all these just so that I could compare them all individually and go back and forth. This is the one I want. It's the one I started with. So yeah. After going through all that, I decided that this is the palette that I want. I think that when you make a whole house out of this, and it's going to be a fairly large house, I think this is just going to look the best, because I think that's going to be just too overwhelmingly green, and that's going to be too overwhelmingly blue. Maybe, I don't know. The blue is definitely a runner-up here, just because it's such a nice light blue. And this, it's just a little too dull. It doesn't work with the white trim, and the red and green trim, which I think work best with it, don't work with the living wood planks. So I think I'm going to go with this. Now for the roof, we're going to have wedges for sure, and we don't have architecture craft in this pack because it's not out for 111. So I'm going to make a wedge with chisels and bits out of this light gray stained brick, something I've done a million times before, but just in case you've never seen me do it before, this is how I do it. Basically, I go to line, and I do a diagonal through the block, and it should end up lining up perfectly so that we're like that, and then connected plane. And then I take this out. There we have a wedge. Nice. Make a negative chisel pattern because I'm going to be making wedges out of a couple different blocks. So this is the one I want to try because I think it looks like a good shingle block. That's light gray. Actually, regular gray might look good too as opposed to light gray, but we'll start with light gray. And then I also want to see if there's a cobblestone variant that we can use, because sometimes cobblestone bricks from Chisel look really good as roof tiles. So let's take a look. Layers. That might look good. Let's try that. So now we can do the negative chisel design. Did I do it already? Yeah, I did it already. So now we can just go to any material and make a wedge out of it. It's going the wrong way, isn't it? No, it's not. It looks like it's going this way. It's the exact same color, though. So if we can find the right variant, that would be so much cheaper, because these do require bricks, of course, and they require dye. Yeah, I guess this is going to be the one, even though it's more expensive. It just looks better. These look a little, and this is stone, and it looks weird because what's happening is there's a different pattern on the top than there is on the side. So when you look at it like from here, it looks good. And when you look at it from above, it's going this way. And when you look at it from the middle, it's the same thing with these, though. but they're not quite as messed up. So I guess we're going to go with these for the roof. And by the way, if you want to make full blocks out of these again, you can actually make a pattern of a full block. Like this is actual chiseled stone. It's a full block. It hasn't been chiseled. I can actually make a pattern out of that with chisels and bits, and then I can replace these with that pattern. And that way I'm not filling up my inventory with all those bits that I'm not going to use. I'm growing cherry trees over here. I've gotten 51 so far. I want to get about a stack of cherry wood because I've decided I'm going to use this for... Oh, why is this so small? I've decided I'm going to use this for the floor, the flooring in the house on the first floor. I don't know if I'm going to use it throughout the house because it's pretty freaking bold, but it looks really nice. Look at that. And the walls are going to be white. They're just going to be pure white. So I think that looks really good against the walls. There's our garage, and we do actually have a car in there. Our little race car. Oh, I don't have a way out. I need to put some pressure plates on the inside too. This is Malice's doors. These are garage doors. The exterior of the house is going to be somewhat irregular. Somewhat irregular in shape. We're going to have like it already is. We've got like pieces sticking out here. We're probably going to have like some parts on the second floor that kind of go this way, and then maybe some that are set back a little bit, maybe have a patio upstairs or something. So it'll be kind of irregularly shaped, and so what I'm doing is I'm trying to figure out what kind of floor plan I want. I'm not going to say that I'm regretting coming up with a design this detailed, but I'm coming pretty close. Wow, this is a lot of work. There's so many patterns because I went on an angle like that, and I'm still not even 100% happy with it, but I'm going to stick with it. I have to mirror all these. I did this completely by hand, just placing them one bit at a time, basically. So I'm doing a mirror chisel design, and then I clear this one. The mirror chisel design is going to flip the design on the side that you click on. So basically, it's gonna, if I click over here, it's gonna flip it that way. If I click like on the top, then it's gonna flip it upside down. And this is a placement. We want to turn it that way. There we go. This has been a lot of work, a lot of time, but I'm pretty happy with how it's coming along so far. And I'm just making a few tweaks here and there. I actually ended up swapping. I had the living wood planks out here on the patio, or whatever you want to call this porch. I really like them, but I also really like this cherry wood. So I think I'm going to stick with the cherry wood out here because I like the living wood even more inside. As you can see, I had cherry wood inside, and I'm in the process of replacing it with living wood. I think I like this better inside, so I'm going to keep it that way. I don't want to have the same block in both places, but I think this kind of makes sense, and from a distance I really like the way the colors come together. So yeah. I love it. I really like this house. I love how this is coming along. This is one of my favorite builds so far. I hate to pick favorites, but this is one of my favorites so far. So I'm going to replace these stairs. I'm just waiting for some more living wood planks, but this is going to be the kitchen, and I'm thinking I might do a tile floor in here. And I might have different flooring in different rooms, but for now I'm just throwing living wood planks down everywhere. That's going to be the kitchen. This is going to be our storage room. So we're going to have storage drawers probably all over the place in here, and maybe even our storage discs and all that kind of stuff. So rather than having it in the basement like I would usually do, I'm just going to have them in here so that we can easily get to them, and they'll be kind of part of the main house. And then the garage, this is one of my favorites. This is the garage, and it doesn't have any special walls. It's the same as the outside walls. And we've got our little race car in here. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the personal cars mod in a future episode because I really like this mod. It's a nice, simple mod that has some little cars that you can drive around. It's really cool. And then upstairs, we've got this entryway area. I've got gray carpeting up here. I'm not sure how crazy I am about that. Well, it's just gray wool, but you know, I'm using it as carpeting. And it's actually oak planks because, you know, I have a lot of oak planks. So that was the cheapest block, and you can't see any of it anywhere, so I just kind of used that as my, I guess you could say the floorboards are oak planks. And this is the bedroom. Everything's white. All the walls are white. It is not going to stay that way. I think most of the main areas are going to keep white walls, but I'm going to have like some accents and pictures and maybe some trim along the top, some like crown molding or something like that. And this room, I don't know what I'm going to do with this room yet. I'm not real crazy about it because it's so long and just plain and stuff, but we'll see. I tried some of the other colored carpets or the other colored wool, and I didn't like any of them, so I kind of ended up settling on gray. And this is one of the bedrooms. I'm probably going to move that light up to the ceiling, but it's also lighting the room down below. And then this is another bedroom. I don't know what I'm going to do with these rooms yet. They may have special purposes, like, I don't know, different types of automation, or maybe they'll just be decoration. I don't know. Actually, one of them is going to be a library, probably an enchanting room. We'll have all of our enchanting stuff in there, and then here's the attic. nothing really to see up there. It's just just this. I was actually going to keep these ceilings, like these slanted ceilings down, like to be visible from down there, and I just didn't like it. It was too much because the edges are rigid like that. It is not smooth, so it was too much. It didn't look good, and there was also a lot of work with putting the white over everything, and so I just decided I was going to hide them up here, and it just looked, after I added that the single bit, the ceiling. Oh crap, that's not what I wanted to do. After I added the ceiling up here, I just thought it looked so much better. But I left some of it exposed, like some of the angles, just to give us some character. Driveway is just cobblestone. We've got marble, a couple different chisel variants of marble. There's these tiles. I think they're like ordered tiles or something like that. And then there's some trodden bricks. So just to give it a little bit of depth and variety. And then I just used regular marble, 2 pixels wide, just to kind of frame it in. I'm going to set up my cooking for Blockhead stuff right now, so that we can get a sense of what this stuff looks like. The way Cooking for Blockheads works, if you've never played with it before, it's basically a multi-block crafting system that allows you to store food. So these are like kitchen counters. They have inventory. So we can store all kinds of different food items. And then when we use this cooking table, we can craft things based on what we have in our food. So it'll give us all the different options of food that we can craft. So right now we just have water. So we can make bubbly water, fresh water, and salt, except we actually need a pot. So it doesn't recognize that we don't have a pot. But whatever, we're going to make all that stuff. We're going to have all the dishes and stuff for Pam's Harvest Craft. So I just wanted to place these now so that we can get a sense of what they look like and what will look good with them. So there's a refrigerator. Maybe we can put the oven over there. We'll put a toaster in the corner. And then we also have these tool racks. Now, anything that's touching or like next to a block will be able to be accessed by this. So like because the toaster's there, we'll be able to toast bread and make toast. If I put like a rack on the side of the refrigerator or whatever, actually that doesn't look good there, but we put a rack like in an adjacent block. So if I put one there, it's actually in the adjacent block with the toaster. So whatever we put on that rack, our cooking table will have access to. Hello, Co. There's two things we need from this guy. First of all, we need a bucket of milk. Easy enough, right? And we're just going to make a milk jar. So a milk jar is something that, a milk jar is something that we can just fill up with milk. So we can store like, I think it's 8 buckets of milk in there, something like that. So, you know. But of course, we don't want to have to do that manually, right? So there's something else we can do with this cow. Just gonna get him in a little hole here, because that's where we. Okay, you go down in that hole. All right, I'm gonna. Nope. You stay down there. Okay, and I'm going to put this jar. No, look out, cow. Okay, never mind. And put this jar underneath the cow. And then I'm going to do something that might be perceived as cruel. I'm going to drop an anvil on the cow and squish him into that little jar. Hooray! So now we have a cow in a jar. So of course in Minecraft, cows produce an infinite amount of milk forever, right? Cow in a jar is going to produce an infinite amount of milk forever. You can see there's a little bit of milk at the bottom. Little by little, this jar is going to fill up with milk. And then that milk is going to become available to us in here, so that we'll be able to craft food stuff that requires milk. All right, let's see if these kitchen blocks are going to work for us. I kind of have a feeling they're not going to, but let's just give it a try. Okay. You know, those aren't terrible. I got the packing tape out, and I had just enough. Just enough to get all of our storage drawers. So that's the first thing I'm going to bring over is the storage drawers, and I'm going to end up making a lot more storage drawers very soon. I ran the RS cables across, like, underground. I've got a little tunnel going through, like I do everywhere, under the roads mostly, and it's popping up in the basement down here, though I haven't... Oh, here's my basement. I haven't showed you the basement yet. It's just the same walls that we're using, or the same block that we're using for like the bottom of the outside, the marble things, and we've got these, but I'll probably replace those. And then here's where our thing is coming in. We could probably replace those with marble, except I don't have any with me. So that's where that's going to come in, and we'll probably have that running all over the house, because I'm going to try to hook up external storages to these things so that we have access to our kitchen stuff. But the storage drawers are going to go in this room. Eventually this room is going to be filled up with storage. Draw a hole in the floor, and then we'll put the whole drawer controller right over that hole. Actually, no, we'll put the drawer controller there. That way we can double right click to put stuff in there. And then we're going to take our external storage. Oh, I don't have any cables with me. Crap. I'm going to put that right there. And we're going to have cables running around the ceiling and stuff in here. I think that's a good place for that. It's the only problem is it sticks out in here. It looks a little silly. But I think we can kind of fix that a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the cables here. And I'm going to put... These are microblock... Oh, crap. They're supposed to be microblock compatible, but apparently they're not in 1.11 yet. I decided to repaint the kitchen. It's a slightly different color. I think I like this. We've got a lot of white in this house, which I think works with some of the areas, but it was a little too much, so I thought the kitchen would look nice. We can dye the refrigerator, so I'm going to do that as soon as I'm done painting. Yeah, even from out here, I think that looks good. I ended up doing this to kind of cover up the wiring over there. It's temporary, because I'm hoping that soon Refined Storage will have multi-part support so that we can cover that stuff up. I could have it go all the way up to the ceiling, which would make it so it doesn't just look like a box that's being blocked off there. Yeah, actually, that might be a good idea. So this is a flat colored block. Again, the walls are too. I don't know if I mentioned that. Oh, it doesn't work on the stove. Okay. Oh, by the way, if you shift right click, you could open these things up and see what's inside them. Of course, you can just right click to see the GUI for the inventory. But it's kind of cool because you can actually put stuff in there. These are BiblioCraft fancy lamps. They're pretty nice. If you put... I've got a yellow one too. The item looks like this, and if you place it like on a desk or something, it's like a desk lamp. And it goes like that, although it's kind of big for that. But if you place it on a wall, it's like that. And as we saw in the kitchen, if you place it on a ceiling, then it does that. So I think that looks really neat. Oh, as you can see, our milk is full. And if we look in here, we can see we can make all kinds of different foods now because of all the food that we have in the refrigerator. And we can put food in these guys too, but I happen to have an external storage on this guy so that everything that we put in this refrigerator, we're also going to have access to within our RS system. So, and I set it to low priority because these refrigerators, they're just regular inventory. You can put anything in there, not just food items. So I have the... Can I get to the... Yeah, I have the priority set to... Oh, whoops. I thought I had the priority set to -10. I must have forgot to click set. I have it set to -10 so that when we dump things in the RS system, it's not going to put stuff in this refrigerator. And when we pull things out of the RS system, it's going to pull stuff out of the refrigerator last. This is the chandelier, a chandelier from DecoCraft. Because the roof is actually in this block space, it won't go flush up against the roof. Because it requires a 3x3 space, I would have had to recess this entire 3x3 area, and I did, and it didn't look good. So what I ended up doing is just recessing that one part. Yeah, that looks better. Okay, so we could actually have some pipes running upstairs there too if we wanted to. I have the painting press from BiblioCraft. If you've never used this before, it can be a little bit confusing, but this is how it works. We can use the vanilla paintings, we can choose from any one, or the ones that come with BiblioCraft. We need a painting canvas, and we stick that in here. And then we're also going to need one or more painting frames. So I chose the dark oak painting frames. I think they work well with our setup. And so we pick the one that we want, and then we click transfer. And now we have our bowl of fruit. And we can hang these up. So we could do a single painting, or a single one, and just stick this in there. And there we have it. There's our bowl of fruit. Or if we want to make it bigger, we can do a bunch of these. And if we want to link them together, we need a screw gun from BiblioCraft. Shift right click the first painting. Shift right click. There we go. Shift right click to do that, and then now we're going to go from shift right click and then shift right click to connect all of them. Okay, so now we got rid of the frame from there. So then we right click and we stick our canvas in there, but it's still going to be small. So we're going to tell it that we want to, you have to click on the one where you put the canvas. So we go 2x. Okay, so that, and then we tell it we want to go that way. There we go. So there's our painting. We can also increase the resolution so that it looks a little nicer. Can we go 128? We can go 128. Look at that. Look at that detail. That's beautiful. Got some crowd molding going here. It's basically, it's just 3 lines. 1 up there and then 2 down there. Nope. Oh, we want to replace that. I have so much more I want to do, but we're going to have to save a lot of it for another day. I have a lot of landscaping plans. Oh, these, by the way, are the BiblioCraft fancy lanterns. I did a little bit of interior decorating, not much. I got another little painting over here, and a couple chairs from DecoCraft, and a BiblioCraft table, and a white candle from Pam's Harvestcraft. And I added the crown molding on one side in the kitchen. It didn't look good all the way around, and I couldn't put it by this fancy lamp anyway. By the way, these fancy lanterns are similar to the fancy lamps in that you can place them in different configurations. So actually, you can see over here, if you place them on the ground, they look like that. If you place them against a block, they're like that. They hang, which is really nice. And of course, if you hang them against the ceiling, they look like that. This roof took me quite some time, but I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. It's got a little bit of character. It's obviously it's not your just typical pitched roof. We've got different different angles and stuff here. But this is all custom chiseled. So most of these blocks are just 2 pixels wide. See? So I guess you could say I cheated a little bit. It saved materials and also gave us a little bit of extra space in there too, and like in the attic and such. And basically I just made one of these by hand by just placing all those lines, and then like for the angles and stuff I did like additive and I imposed, and I had to really, I ended up kind of custom making each one of the different types of angles, because we've got these inner corners, and then we've got like this, and then of course I added all this just custom detail work here and then on the top. And the windows are also completely custom made. I made this with Chisels and Bits. But the inside part is actually a chisel glass. I think it's called Japanese or something like that. So I took one plane of that on the insides of the windows, of all the windows, and on the outside I have this pattern. And of course this is all chiseled too. These are not stairs blocks. This is actually a marble block that I chiseled into a stair and then put the redwood, or not the redwood, the cherry wood planks on the top. And we've also got our white flat color here. Oh, and of course these are custom made. Came up here, and this is living wood from Britannia. Oh, and we have our molding up here. Somehow I like the gray carpeting better now that there's molding. I don't know why, but it just seems better with that. Maybe because it breaks up the white and gray. I think what we're going to be doing in the future is, as we make use of each of these rooms, I'm just going to take some time to kind of decorate the room, and little by little we'll kind of get this whole house all decorated. It does work. Oh, actually that looks good. Okay, so you can dye it just like you can with clay. Oh, that's cool. Okay. So if you do have any ideas or suggestions or comments or whatever, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Like I said, I still have a lot of work to do here. I'm going to do some landscaping. I'm going to decorate a lot of the rooms to give them all kind of their own little character. I'm definitely open to some ideas. If you guys have any ideas, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Or if you have any questions about anything I did that I didn't explain very well, you can leave that as well. And of course, if you did enjoy this, please don't forget to click the like button and to join me next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.